Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. At the beginning of each year, it seems that most of the world's population pursue the goal of fitness. But unfortunately, this goal is often not coupled with the virtue of consistency. Yes, we all know that too well. As the days, weeks, and even months go by, persons lose motivation and eventually give up on this goal. Here with me today is Paula Surgeon Collins. And yes, we are going to speak about that surgeon part of her name as an athletic coach, and fitness advisor. Paula will enlighten us all on how we can remain consistent on our personal fitness journey. Good morning, Paula, and welcome to Good Morning SKN.
Thank you. Good morning to you too. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, yes. Indeed, and Happy New Year. I was laughing, guys, whilst I was reading because Paula was saying she needs to stop being so stiff, so she had me cracking up even before the interview started. So yesterday we spoke on the mind.
Yeah.
So as I said, we're going to do the holistic, the whole body. Yeah. We're going to be holistic about it. So now today we're going to talk about the body. So Paula, what factor does fitness display, or what factor does fitness have on our overall well-being?
I mean, when the term that says a fit body, a fit mind, and I believe it with whole heart. Like I believe in that terminology. When you're fit mind, fit body, fit mind, so that translates because without the mind, yes, everything is a mess. Especially after what we've been through over the last 2 years, a lot of mental issues. Yeah. Persons are talking about that. So for me, I use it as a tool, and I encourage persons to use it as a tool. Once you can get when you're strong, I feel like strength. If you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, if you're a teacher, strong. You just walk in the room. You might not be feeling it, but you just do your best.
So what got you into fitness?
Well, I've never, the crazy thing about it, I was never athletic. I just had these nice little thunder thighs, and I'm like, what are these for? But I was always interested. But, growing up, my high school was really far from home. Okay. We had to be back and forth. My mother, for some reason, didn't think that I was to go into sports. Different reasons, even back then. But I grew up with 6 brothers, and my father, they like cricket, all these sports. So I was very interested in sports. But as I got older, I have my son, I realized, well, time to start working on this thing.
After the son?
After my son.
Okay.
So after my son, I started working out, and I realized that I like it.
Okay.
But like most persons, it is a craft, and you have to learn it. You can't assume that you know what to do. And what happened, I was in Florida, and I would go walking, and I would go home, and I would eat the same way and the same thing, because I figure, okay, nuts are good, so I'm going to have this whole box. No, nuts. In the island, we don't get all these fancy things. Yeah. So when you get there, but I realized I wasn't, and the change for me is, I remember I was walking around in the gym, and the trainer said to me, you have an athletic body. Why don't you do a fitness course that we're doing? And I'm like, I'll do it for myself, because I didn't think I was. And in 2 weeks, I was able to lose 10 pounds, and I realized in the food, it's not just the physical activity, but it's a whole approach, the meal, the rest, all of that. I'm like, how can I spread this message? Because I was so excited to feel like, okay, I could, because I actually was putting on a lot of weight and was working out, and it was nothing happening.
So it makes no sense to burn 1,500 calories at the gym and then go home and have a big steak and a potato, and then when you finish, you have some ice cream.
No, you're just gonna be like nice and round. And that's the thing, and people are discouraged because you're saying, okay, I can have. And I think when you're working out, it gives this positivity.
Yes,
you're more mindful. If you're not working out, you will just go home and like, you know what? Yeah. Like people will say, I'm gonna eat all I want for Christmas.
Yeah.
To come to me in January, and then I run and I hide from you in January.
What hide from me?
Because I was like, what am I gonna do? Because the truth is, you've now done something to yourself that, and I have to be realistic. And I think people are not realistic with their goals. We go on Instagram, Facebook, the different things, and we see these things, and we want to go. You can't. You have to take your time. You have to be patient with yourself. You have to be realistic. Simple movement, simple step, and to be guided. Because the guidance is different. Like people will say one of the most requested things is that people want to lose their belly. They
Belly,
want
of course.
everybody.
Listen, as they say, that belly must be saved by Jesus because that's the only, oh my, that's the only part of our bodies I swear to have the salvation from, you know. It wouldn't go.
But you can't spot reduce. Contrary to what people say, I just want to work on my abs. In fitness, you cannot do spot reduction.
See, I knew that, you know.
You have to be stronger overall because the body is a system from the head to the toe. So if you work on a certain area, you can overtrain that area, you wouldn't see results. When a person comes to you, you know, you can't, sometimes you can't even break it to them because they get discouraged.
Yes.
You cannot spot reduce. 90%, 99% of the times, most of our bodies, one side is a bit stronger than the other. And you see, even in athletes, great, top performer. You have to design a program to build that part up, but you still cannot overdo what you're doing. You have to be doing it in a way that enhances.
Indeed. Now, our former national carnival queen, I know you were her trainer because she mentioned you on numerous occasions and also in her finals. The walk that she did in her speech, you were one of the persons she thanked. Now, how early did she start the training with you to get the body that she had for the pageant?
Nikira was so driven. She came, I think, shortly after university. It could have been February or March.
Okay.
And she came with a plan. She saw my work. You know, she did. I'm not normally into the advertising. She saw my work, what I did with the athletes or with people, and I'm saying, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna have to do it good from day one.
Okay.
And when there are days that, I mean, she's a working woman, she's career driven, but she knew when. And sometimes I had to tell her, pull back, push, pull. Because sometimes people think it's go hard or go home.
Yes.
And I learned that early with even the high performer. You have to see them and say, okay, you had a hard day yesterday. What do we do? Sometimes you come to training, she would come to training and she would not be feeling well, and I had to tweak the program to say, you have to know what to give. She showed up. She made me like, okay, I think you're going to get there before me get out of bed. She showed up. Did well.
Nice. So I'm going to use you. Paula, too expensive. I'm going to go over here because this one way cheaper. How important it is, let the public know how important it is to go to the professional, although the money might seem steep because, as we know, your health is your wealth. Once you have health, and to go to the person that is way less and be hurt.
The thing is, it saves you a trip to the doctor. Medical bills could be ridiculous. I hate to be enclosed. I do not want to be in a room because of any sickness, okay? So I'm going to try. And what I remind persons, muscle is the largest glucose disposal. So we like to eat. It is one that drives longevity. So when you're saying that you want to take a shortcut, you could be injured. And I tell persons that it's not the injury, it's the recovery, it's the ability to recover. So when a person gets sick, whether it's cancer, whether it's a fall from the hip, sometimes the reflex, I watch athletes, you know, athletic, the reflex, you're falling, the ability to catch yourself and not hurt because you practice maybe push-up or different things. So when you're going into these things, it has to be done properly. You'll be turned off, the persons who don't want. So if you want to save on your health, that's a problem because being fit and healthy eliminate medical bills and time.
Oh man, you are so right. So I see you here today looking extremely listen, I want to exchange bodies. If she's willing, I'm taking. Did you have any, let's talk about the highs and lows on the journey. We already spoke about working out and eating the nuts and eating everything fancy. What are some of the other lows that you would have experienced? And what are some of the highs that got you to where you are today and that would have kept you consistent throughout your continued journey?
You know, some of the lows is, as human beings, we tend to compare. And comparison is a killer of the human soul. Each body is different. Each individual is different. Someone might start earlier in their athletic, game. When I first started, and when I first started, I went in as trainers. We had to compete to prove our worth in the business. So my first year, 2 weeks out, I had chicken pox, and it was crazy. I'm like, I'm still gotta go. So I looked like I was shamingly I went on that thing, and that was a low for me. But what I told myself in the second year that when I touch this stage again, I should be stand out so much. You could see the winner from the loser, okay? And that was exactly what happened. I went in, I went hard because I was like, I'm not going to waste my time. When you get there, you see how much, a little bit more could have gotten you there. And it shows you that you have the ability to be the greatest. So the lows, but the comparisons that and even now we still, because we could compare ourselves, but those are some of the lows. I see years of comparing, and we should never do that. And, the highs is, I could say that I won the Miss Jamaica, the bikini that's year after. This, honey. So some of the highs, and, having 3 children, and, even my eldest son. My eldest son, I will say my age, okay? My eldest son is 30, and he's like, Mommy, I'm so proud of you. He's like a monster to me, and I look at him, I'm like, I'm never afraid, because you look at it and you say, I'm blessed. Like, and he looks to me. Even last night he was on the phone because he was in the gym. He lives in the US, and he was on the gym. I had to be taking him through the program. I'm like, wow. And he says, he became my biggest teacher, but he always confided that, Mommy, you are my hero because you've taught me. So that's a high, my children.
Oh my God, I'm looking at this figure and I'm like, I need that body. And she said, we don't compare, but oh my gosh.
Right, that's fire, right?
Of an individual who have type 1 diabetes and still battles fibroids. And you're told not to eat this, not to eat that. Dairy is bad, meat is bad. How do you deal with a client that comes to you with all these issues?
One of the things that is a lot of misconception that has happened in the last 50 years, where most of these diseases were just being recognized. And we've been following a process where we have eliminated a lot of fats out of the diet. Persons with diabetes, they need protein. And what happens, you waste that protein. So for instance, a child whose hormone is kicking, say 13, puberty, they could eat 15 grams of protein and it's absorbed better than a diabetic. So what you're doing when you're restricting your protein, there's too much insulin that you need, and the type 1 doesn't have. They need insulin, but overproduction of the insulin start having you resisting, because too much of anything is not good. And we need insulin, we don't need the excess.
Yes, indeed.
And so when you're wasting protein, because protein is the macronutrient that restore the muscle mass and the skeletal muscle, so you're stronger. You'll see like a lion will eat like what the meat, you'll see. If you look at the animal kingdom, you see what animal eats what and what. And then it's their stomach, the effect of how do they do that? When you're full, when you eat protein, it needs a little bit of fat to break it down. And you're satiated, so you're not eating all the time. If you're eating too often, you're always stimulating insulin and stimulating. So you want to be able to eat, be satisfied, and let your body burn that fat. You want to adapt. So when persons are saying don't eat protein, it's a wrong concept, because as young, especially in the island, we know our food in the morning, it starts with bread. And so from the day one, but look at a baby, the breast milk is all fat.
Yes.
So think about when did we switch from babies to this lifestyle? And babies are so resilient, you wouldn't see them. They see they're nice and they're fuller and stuff. So our diet, because of ignorance and cheaper or whatever, our lifestyle, it has created a lot of issues. Even for myself, I could tell you when I trained, we had to eat 5 to 6 meals. I felt like I was becoming diabetic. There were symptoms, but I refused to go to the doctor. I'm like, I'm going to be the fit surgeon on myself. So I had to go back to eating. Away that, and then do a process of elimination. When we eat so many different stuff, we don't know which is causing the problem. You want to avoid processed food as much as you can. Go back to natural stuff. You want to do you want to say, okay, I eat. You want to isolate stuff so you know what drives what. When you're having issues, cramps. Okay, when I eat this is how I feel. People are afraid of fat, but we need fat for the heart. We need it for the brain to function. When persons with even epilepsy the more fat you give them, the more they're able to function. So it has been a myth over the years that you go back, and then the vegetable is good, but once you can grow your vegetable locally, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's the unknown that's bothering us.
Yes, all the things that they do put into stuff like that.
So it's not, it's, you know, if we've adopted a way of living for so many years and it hasn't worked, we have to be willing to change.
Indeed.
Because people will say the science is true until it's proven not to be.
Yes.
Okay, and if you're gonna have a healthier lifestyle through just a little tweak, eventually you could add stuff back.
Yes.
But you want to heal the gut, you want to heal the body.
Yes.
And that's one of the things. So I've experienced clients that their fibroids shrink from like a grapefruit to like a lemon small, and they're like, oh my God, tears, the testimony that I get, you know. Some of them I wish they would speak up, but you know, it's a hard topic because of the judgment of persons. They don't want to be there, but that's how we heal.
Wow.
And that's where the happiness comes in. My thing is to pass information on, or to use what I've learned, because you become an expert at whatever you suffer. Sometimes that's the problem. So a lot of persons, even kids, now are suffering from insulin type 1, type 2.
Yes.
And you have to think back at what could have caused that. Kids are resilient, and of lately they are not anymore.
Boy, I wondered, as you said, maybe it could be some of the foods, but how, so a client comes to you, if you can say, how do you design a program? As you said, you help someone shrink a fibroid from that down to a lemon. How do you decide what they should eat, what they shouldn't eat, before you begin the whole regimen to get them into shape?
In an ideal world, what we do, we'd have stuff like blood tests. If you know you're going through an issue, you want to see, sometimes it's just testing to see what your body is depleted of. Over the years, the person don't realize just one night of missed sleep can start diabetes in the body. One, not two, just one. And diabetes starts sometimes 10 years, you know, early. That a lot of us in the fitness space have got to be studying, like, why aren't our clients losing weight? We're training them, we're changing to a low-fat diet, but that there's different things, like you want to ask them about sleep, because maybe it's that sleep. You need to sleep so your organs can recover.
Yes.
You know, people don't realize how much that your liver needs protein while you sleep. And if there's no protein in the body, that's where there's sometimes the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, because your liver is struggling, it can't break down the glucose. So a lot of times persons are afraid of fat, or you say to the person, like you speak to them, you see gradually what their lifestyle has been before. Sometimes it's for a religious reason, and you say, well, you have to import these things, might not have it here, but you encourage them. You don't go too crazy on a person. Gradually, it's like a relationship. You're getting to learn to know this person, to see what. Sometimes they can be very stubborn, and I go home, I'm like, man, this person don't try to change, man. But you have to give them that grace, because we too, it takes a while for us to learn, and sometimes we've been wrong.
Well, in closing, see, when I have post segments, I don't want to let them go. But in closing, Paula, the surgeon of the body, Collins, what advice would you give to persons out there that are looking to secure a fitness trainer like yourself, and just give them some encouragement to persevere with the exercise from today and beyond, not just for this year, but throughout their lifetime?
First, one of the things, you know, sometimes one of the things we want to talk about is the alcohol. People tend to wink at, I need a glass of wine. That's very toxic.
Okay.
I like a little wine sometimes, you know, so I'm not going to go crazy with me. But it takes you out of sleep. So you have to be able to sleep better.
Okay.
Sleep is very important. You want 8, 9, that's not it. You just want good REM sleep. You want to start slow.
Okay.
Say, for instance, if you have to hold on to do a squat, if you have to lean, if you have to do something different, you want to make sure you know your issues, and that you don't aggravate it. You can do like online consultation to say, here am I have knee issues, hip issues, where do I start?
Okay.
Initially, people will say squatting you don't have to do any squatting at all.
Okay.
If later on it's a very good compound movement, but there are other exercises you could do. But you want to go easy, you want to start slow. You want to make sure you're not starving, and training. Starvation is not eat properly so that your body you're satisfied.
Yes.
It's important, but it's what you eat. And then you check your trainer to see what kind of trainer. Do I want to be in a group setting? How do I work? Do I like aerobics? Do I like personal training? Personal training doesn't have to be a long-term thing.
Okay.
It's for you to learn, and then you have to progress.
Yes.
When you start by holding on, then you let go. When you let go, you add a little weight or a little resistance with bands. So it's progression. You cannot be at that one. You can walk for a month or two, but you gotta just do something different from the walking. You know, you see a lot of people walking, you see no change, but
exactly.
you know, and they're discouraged.
Yeah.
But it's just progression.
Okay.
Add as you go along sensibly and ask questions. There's sometimes persons will help you without pain, but sometimes you know it's not the best advice.
Yes.
But make sure you know the portfolio. What have you done? Who have you trained?
Yes.
Let's show me what you've done. Don't just let anyone come up to you and say, I'm a trainer and I can help you. It can be to your detriment. So, you know, my number is 762-8168. That's my business number. And I'm the Fit Surgeon Collins on Instagram. I've been trying a little TikTok, but I haven't been good at it yet. At first it was like, you gotta do TikTok, but
you'll get there.
I'm trying. So those are the places you can get me. And you know, send me a message. If you don't hear from me, I'll respond.